it for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the fall!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. Bittt. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast. Thanks, everyone, for watching on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. Tell your friends about it to join our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. The Sick Podcast brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group. They are a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. They are driven to be different. They are Energy Transportation Group. You see this fridge right behind me? Well, that's stacked with products from the Geloso Beverage Group, and one of which is Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager, a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for the hot summer days with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. Also brought to you in part by Playground. Experience Playground's world-renowned poker experience with free food and drinks at their cash game tables. A bad beat jackpot that is over $1.1 million in climbing, weekly promotions, daily tournaments, unmatched customer service. Why play anywhere else? Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. Playground. And brought to you in part by Betway, a leading global online betting and gaming brand. Follow your gut instinct. Go with Betway. Go on Betway.com. And once you go on Betway.com, what you're going to do is scan the QR code to join the action. You must be 18 years old and over and play responsibly, of course. All right, okay. Good stuff. Without further ado, why don't we bring in tonight's guest? Because tonight we're going to be talking Laval Rocket. We're going to be talking Montreal Canadiens prospects within the Canadiens organization that will most likely start the season with the Rocket, most of which were drafted players by the Montreal Canadiens. And when we talk prospects, of course, we think of Grant McCagg of recruits.ca and, of course, the Recruits Draftcast podcast. And what a beautiful shirt he has. What's going on, Grant?
Hey, Tony. Oh, just working on a Habs prospect guide that I'm going to put out later this month for all my subscribers and hopefully get a few new ones. But yeah, going to do rankings, top 30 rankings, profiles, videos, gradings, projections, NHL projections. So having some fun with it.
All right. Okay. So let's have some fun with this because, of course, we're still months away from Laval Rocket training camp. But there's a list of probables. There's a list of possibles. And there's a list of maybes, I guess. And whether or not it's the same thing, I don't know. But let's talk about it, of course. Why don't I bring up this name and ask you, do you think, and still look, we're speculating a lot here because, of course, we haven't seen pro camp yet. We don't know what's going to happen. And there's some players that we're going to break up that possibly will end up being a Montreal Canadiens camp or will end up making the Montreal Canadiens, pardon me. But let's say Logan Mailloux. If you were to bet today, here we are, mid-July, Logan Mailloux starts in Laval, yes or no? Do you think he's had enough seasoning in Laval to actually start with the Canadiens and be on his way? Or do you think a little bit more time in Laval will actually do him good?
Well, I think, before Kovacevic got moved, I was thinking that he's probably going to start the season in Laval because Barron will be eligible for waivers and he won't, right?
Yeah.
Probably come down to that not wanting to lose an asset that in the Lehkonen trade for nothing, who could still be a decent NHL defenseman, perhaps. So, but do they start the year with Mailloux and Barron as a 6-7? that it's possible, but I think Barron would probably spend most of the time in the press box, because you don't want, especially Mailloux, because I think he's one of the more the higher ranked prospects still in the organization.
Yeah,
he's got to play. So if they want to, if they don't want Barron as a seventh guy, and they want to give him a regular role to start the year, then Mailloux, I would think, likely heads to Laval for more seasoning, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
I don't think it would be a bad thing at all. I mean, look, we talk about the Red Wings, and for the longest time, they were once again a reference point. I think it started with Jimmy Devellano, and then from there to Ken Holland, then from there to Steve Yzerman. But they had a rule of thumb that their players would play, or most of them would play, or some of them would. 300, what is it? 3 years in the American Hockey League, or 250 games, right? And Mailloux's played 72 games in the American Hockey League. But this is Montreal, and everyone wants to see Montreal bring up their young players right away. But we also have to understand that, you can have only so many young players at the same time, right? And you still need a lot of veterans to be able to support those young players and show them the way. And when was the last defenseman that played less than 80 games at the American Hockey League level that the Canadians had that went on to have a really good career? I think of Subban, who played 77 games. But, Subban went on to win a Norris Trophy. I mean, there's not too many. No.
I think I don't think did Markov play 1 year in the AHL? Something like that, eh?
Did he play in Fredericton? I'd be willing to bet that he played in Fredericton, but I want to look this up.
Yeah. But he came over at 21, or he'd already been playing in the KHL or whatever. But
pardon me, Quebec Citadels, but very, very few games. They grant 12 games.
Okay. Yeah.
12 one season, pardon me, and 14 his first season. So 63 games with the Canadians in 2000, 2001, 14 games with the Citadel. The next season, 56 games with the Canadians, but 12 games with the Citadels. So,
Gouli and Jacky really play much especially Gouli, pretty much made the Canadians right out of junior, right? So you can't, that'd be the last one. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, but we
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, we talked about players that actually went on to have a really good career. I mean, look.
Sorry.
It looks like Caden Gouli's on his way. There's no doubt about it.
I think he's going to have a really good career.
I would think so. You know what? The one thing that I think Mailloux can look at Gouli and say there are some similarities, right? Because Mailloux came in with he's got an NHL body, NHL frame already.
True.
Probably more so than Gouli. They're both about 6'3", but I believe Mailloux weighs probably about 10 to 15 pounds more. And so they both have an NHL body. I think did Caden Gouli play more games at the junior level, because of course everything that happened with Mailloux, he had a season where he only played 12, and there was the lockout in between and all that stuff. So
pandemic.
Yeah.
No, that's
more games.
I think that's a bigger reason for him going back than the fact that he's played 1 year already in the AHL, is that he played less than 100 junior games. And I mean, Gouli in his Memorial Cup year, I think played about that many alone. So he had way more junior experience. So that's why he's already playing in the NHL, and that's why Mailloux still needs seasoning. Like he was playing Tier 2 junior, then all the stuff happened, the pandemic, then all the stuff happened. So he played less than 100 major junior games. So he really does not have a lot of pro and major junior experience yet. 1 more year, go up to the trade deadline. If they're in the playoff race and they're keeping everybody, maybe he stays there all year. But I would think at some point this year, if he doesn't make the team out of camp, that they'll call him up. And I mean, a lot depends. Another defenseman or two could get traded yet too.
Yeah. 75, by the way, 75 is the number of junior regular season games that Logan Mailloux played with the London Knights.
Yes.
plus 21 playoff games. So
Yeah, that's
75
right.
plus
96.
21 is 96. The other
Yeah.
48 that he played was with the London Nationals in the Go JHL.
Right.
Yeah.
At
So
15 or 16. So, I mean, but yeah, they really, there's no rush on these guys. And I think Reinbacher is in the same boat where, you know, he's probably going to start the year in Laval too. And that might, I mean, that's a pretty nice 1-2 punch on the right side on Laval's defense.
big time. Big time. There's a lot of clubs that would like to have right-handed defensemen like that in your top two. And, you know, David Reinbacher came over, of course, from the Swiss League last year, played the last 11 games at the American Hockey League level, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points, was actually +6. But the adjustment from European ice and European hockey to North American 11 games is a very small sample size. You would think in an ideal world, they'd like to get at least a full year of AHL hockey under his belt.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like Edmondson in Detroit, right?
Correct.
He's already got a couple of years there now. So
yeah,
they'll likely not rush him. There's no need. They've got they've got, you know, Savard's there. Barron's going to likely be the third pairing right defenseman.
Yeah.
And if he still can't do it, then you bring up Mailloux or Reinbacher to replace him. Like, it's not there aren't guys to do it. Right?
I think Savard will get moved anywhere but within 4 weeks of the deadline to actually deadline date. So you know what? You have September, October, November, December, January at the very least.
Yeah.
At the American Hockey League level, I would think anyway. So we got Reinbacher and Mailloux starting in Laval right now. Engstrom.
There's another one that he's not far off. We saw it even at the development camp 2 years ago or last year. He looked like a seasoned pro. So I'm really excited about Laval. This is going to be the most talent that Montreal, like, it's not only going to be quality, it's going to be quantity this year. Like 11 of my top 20 prospects that I've ranked for the prospect guide I'm doing, are at least 11 are going to be playing in Laval, and they're all good. So it's this is going to be the most talent that a Montreal farm team has had in a long time. And whoever they end up bringing in the coach, I think it's going to be attractive to some really good coaches to come in, because they just have to look at that roster and say, hey, this could be a stepping stone for me to the NHL, because this team's probably going to be pretty good by the end of the year if you can coach all that young talent. I realize that young teams don't necessarily always do well in the AHL, but you get a good mixture of vets in there with that good talent that they have, and I think it's going to be attractive to some coaches. Maybe not necessarily only for this year, but next year especially, because Laval is just going to be getting better and better with all of the prospects coming in.
That's why I'm wearing the shirt that I'm wearing. Sasana Cup for Laval, of course, not for the Canadians, but for the Laval Rocket. Are they going to win the Stanley Cup? All right, or the the Calder Cup. Okay. What's the AHL Cup called again?
Calder Cup.
Yeah, no, but and I just said that, but what's the Rookie of the Year trophy called in the National Hockey League? The Calder?
The Calder Trophy, yeah.
Yeah. I think they should change it, you know, it leads to a little bit of confusion. You know, one has it in the American Hockey League, one has it for the Rookie of the Year in the National Hockey. A little bit confusing. Anyway.
Yeah, most people wouldn't even know who Frank Calder is. So
you're probably right about that. Don't ask me who he is, because I don't know either. All right, okay. Philip Mesar, who was the year of the Slavkovsky draft, of course. He was drafted by the Canadians in the late first round. Laval, he tried last year, and at one point he was sent back to his junior team. This is the year for him in Laval, and if so, center or wing?
I would expect that he'll be on the wing, because they'll be bringing in. I don't know if Jackeye sticks or not, but he's likely playing center. Beck will probably start the year in Laval. He'll be at center.
Barry Boulet?
I don't know if he a winger more so. Well, he plays a bit of both, Tony. But Condada's obviously center. And, they've got a couple returning. Is Gignac back?
Not sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
He's a center too. No, they're going to be set at center. And Mesar played mostly on the wing. I don't see them projecting him as being a center in pro.
It's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year for Mesar.
Yeah, it is.
For Mesar.
It is. Very big year. Barron's another one. This is a big year for him. Emil Heinemann, if he doesn't make them out of camp, I guess he's probably waiver eligible this year. So
yeah,
big camp for him. He's got to make the club.
Yeah, and by the way, I would think Gignac's going to be back because it was a 2-year, 2-way contract, right?
He signed an NHL deal, so
yeah,
he's a 2-way, so he's definitely back.
2-year, 2-way contract.
That's
he
right.
Signed that back in February.
Yeah,
so he'll be back.
I know Mitchell Stevens is gone and a couple of guys, but they'll have lots of Jared Davidson can play center.
Yeah,
they'll be pretty stacked down the middle, I think so. But Mesar, they don't have any. Even if they weren't, I don't think that they consider him a center, and they'll be playing him on the wing.
Dobish in goal had a little bit of a slow start last year, but down the stretch, I really liked him for Laval.
Yeah, he'll be the starter, I would think. They want to get him the 50 games if they can.
What's the plan for Fowler?
Fowler?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he's going back to.
Oh yeah, no. You don't bring teenagers in, turn them pro. It's rare. Like Marty Brodeur was one of the last ones that was there's no rush whatsoever on the goalie.
Pierre Maguire had told us at one point, and he said, in regards to Fowler, who played on a very stacked team in BC, it'll be interesting to see with BC, Boston College. It'll be interesting to see, he said, how many of those players they bring back, because if the team is still going to be stacked and they can go a long ways, you obviously want to go back. But if the team is not stacked,
it's going to be stacked.
Yeah,
like the only one leaving, I think, is Will Smith. Perreault's back, going to be back. Leonard said he'd be back, and they've got a class coming in. Don't forget Teddy Stiga, Dean Letourneau.
They're stacked then again.
Oh yeah, no, they're reloading and they're going to be stronger. Maybe because all those guys like Leonard should be dominant.
Yeah,
college this year, and
Leonard's looking good.
Yeah, no, they're going to be stacked. They're going to be maybe better than last year. So
yeah,
that's one of the reasons why Fowler. He's not going anywhere. He transformed his body.
He did. Yeah,
I saw him at we were doing the interviews when you were talking. I walked over and he was there for a while doing a little camera, a little promo. But you saw him in the shorts and the shirt, and the difference in 1 year, because that was a big reason why teams didn't pick him higher than, why he fell to Montreal.
Out of shape.
His body, he did not have an athletic looking body at all. Maybe you wouldn't have, you see him on the street and you'd never say, okay, there's an athlete, right?
Yeah.
But Boston College is a great program, great facilities. Probably, top-notch nutritionist, the whole works, just like us, Tony.
Yeah.
Getting them into shape, and and he looks completely different than he did last year. So 1 more year, transform his body, getting ready for pro next year, and they might win it all. So plus don't forget, he'll be eligible for the World Juniors again, and
You're
that's
right. You're right.
That's always a great experience. So, no, he's going back for one more year, and then I would expect him to come out. But you want to give Dovish that year, one more year, give him the 40 to 50 games in Laval, reassess him then, and maybe they split it the year after, and one of them's ready to join the big club after that.
And Grant is right. Nutrition and fitness is extremely important. That's why I only had 3 Nutella toasts today. And my workout was going up 3 stairs. All right. Okay. Florian Xhekaj, you said not sure he was going to play. Talking about looking at a guy at development camp. I really like what I saw from him. He looked like a man against boys.
Yeah. No, his skating just keeps getting better and better. He was even better in the scrimmage, I think, than
his hands are good too, and he knows he knows where to go.
Those were good drills, Tony, to see how a player's hands work, because they're so in tight and they have to react in tight spaces. And for a 6'2" and a half kid, he's got decent skill for sure. So I was impressed with him there.
If he starts in Laval, you'd have to think that Luke Tuck will as well, and it could give us a little bit of a snippet of what we might see in Montreal in a couple of years from now, because there's a chance that Florian Xhekaj and Luke Tuck will play on the line together at some point with the Canadiens.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Like, that would be, if they develop it as hoped, a heck of a two-thirds of a heck of a fourth line. Imagine in a couple of years if it's either Kapanen or Beck, because there probably won't be a spot in the top 3 for one of them.
Yeah,
Kapanen or Beck centering Xhekaj and Tuck or whatever. I mean, it would be the best fourth line that the Canadiens have had since, we discussed that there one day, maybe since the Skrudland, McPhee, Lemieux line back in the day.
You'd have to think going forward, the Canadiens will have Suzuki at 1, Doc at 2, Hage at 3, and Kapanen or Beck, or maybe Hage could end up being on the wing. Maybe Kirby Doc might end up being on the wing. Kent Hughes has talked about it now often by saying, we have a lot of centermen, and not all of them will be able to play center. And at that point, but we're comfortable that when we draft a center, we know that the adjustment to playing the wing is a lot easier than grabbing a winger and having him try and play center.
Yeah. No, you could have 10 centers. Like Team Canada, some years there, they had 10 of the 13 forwards were centers, and they just slide guys over to the wing. Like Mario, hey, Mario, you play on the wing, or Crosby, even the year that he played with Bergeron on the U20 team. Remember, he played on the wing.
I think Dale Hawerchuk played on the wing at one point for Team Canada. And,
that line was 3 centers playing together. There's hundreds of instances of centers moving over to the wing. It's the easiest adjustment in hockey.
I think at one point Mario in one Canada Cup even played on a line with or was it at the Olympics where he played on a line with Joe Sakic, I think. But that's the one where Mario actually lifted his leg and faked the shot, and then Sakic ended up shooting. He did a dummy. It was amazing. All right, okay. Emil Heineman. We wanted to see more. At least I did want to see more from him from the Canadiens with the Canadiens last year. But
he was inconsistent. He started off strong with the Laval the year before, and then he ran into some injury issues last year. So this camp is going to be really big for him. He's got to show up, do something in the exhibition games, maybe score a goal or 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's capable of being physical, but it's hit and miss with him. So if he can, hit on a regular basis, compete, use that size that he has, chip in a couple of goals or whatever in camp, he probably makes the team out of camp and doesn't get placed on waivers, because I could see him being picked up if he was put on waivers.
Trudeau and Beck on the team for sure.
Trudeau's not making the Habs, I don't think.
No. Good player though.
Yeah, he's going to be I could see him wearing a C in Laval in a couple of years and being one of those guys that's there for it's unfortunate in a lot of organizations, I think he'd be like the 7th, 8th guy right now. With the Canadians, just because of the young depth that they've got, he might be 9, 10. And then there's other guys coming. So it's unfortunate, but he's going to have a tough time finding a spot unless they trade a bunch of guys.
Yeah, and they're making room in Laval because they said goodbye to Arnaud Durando, who's on his way to Russia, John Parker Jones with the Reign, and Alex Olivier Voyer on his way to Slovakia. But once again, let's bring up other names. Sean Farrell.
This is going to be a big summer for him, I think. He's got to get stronger and faster. I think he defied the odds in the USHL. No one expected him to go in and score 100 points and then go into Harvard and produce like he did for those 2 years. But he didn't exceed expectations at the pro level. It's just that much bigger and faster. And it's the physical part of it that is his limitations. He's smart enough to play NHL hockey if he ever got fast and strong enough for it, but he's got to still adjust to the pace and the strength of pro players. And hopefully he had a really productive off season, because I don't think there was a progression in his game last year.
Mm-hmm.
There had been the previous 3 years. And this is an important summer for him to hopefully get a little stronger, a little faster, and find the AHL game slowed down, right? Because he's got the mind, he's got the shot, he's got the puck skills to be a very productive AHL player. That's the first step for him.
Yeah.
And once he does that, then he might get an NHL shot. But hopefully, I wouldn't put it past him, because he's fooled me a couple times. I didn't have him ranked very high for the draft, and then he went to the USHL and was a top scorer in the league. Went to Harvard and was a top 10 scorer in college. So the expectations were fairly high going into last year that he'd be productive in the AHL, and they gave him that opportunity, and they'll do it again because he's got especially on the power play, he's just so smart and got a great shot. I think he'll get a bunch of points on the power play this year, I think, at Laval.
Is Riley Kidney going to end up being, in your opinion, a victim of a numbers game where it just seems like there's
another center.
They have that kind of player already, and they have
that. You see that when we're naming Laval centers, there's one right there.
Yeah.
I think there's another kid that this is a very important off season for him. He still got a baby face. He's still maturing physically.
Yeah.
That's he's got to get faster, just like Farrell, but he's late maturing. He's still got some growing to do, maturing to do physically. And he's got to have a good off season, put on another 5-10 good pounds, get quicker. Again, really smart and really good puck skills. So I would not be surprised if he makes a big step this year, because in junior, you saw it. You saw, and at playoff time, he stepped up. He was one of the best junior players there was at playoff time in 2 years. So I'm not giving up on him yet. 21, 22-year-old kids, they sometimes they make that extra step, and you see them in camp the next year and say, who's this guy? Because the mental, the intelligence is there, the puck skills are there. He's a fantastic playmaker. He's just got to get bigger and faster. So we'll see if he does it in the offseason. He might be a kid that breaks through offensively this year. There's a few of them. So
I would be willing to bet, as much as Laval would love to have these two players, though, but if there's two of them that I'd be willing to bet that are going to be with the Canadians to start the season, it's going to be Joshua Roy and Lane Hudson.
Yeah.
I feel pretty strongly about that. I mean, Joshua Roy, for sure, I think will start the season with the Canadians. But I there's some players that I think will perform better in the National Hockey League than they will in the American Hockey League. And don't ask me for the explanation as to why I think Hudson, but I think Hudson. And maybe my only explanation would be I think that he thinks the game and sees the game so well, seconds before he sees things before others do. And so he'll have more players on that level that will think the game like him at the National Hockey League level.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he'll probably look better at that level.
And he'll be with better players, right?
Yes, correct.
They'll put him with, probably with Savard. I think that's what they did last year.
Yeah.
And
that's a good partner.
It is, there's a bit of yin and yang there. So I don't mind that pairing. And
Matheson back with Gooley.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Jack-Eye and whoever,
Struble or
Barron, Struble, Harris.
Yeah.
They're all in the mix, but there's
rotation.
Yeah. It's too bad there's going to be a young defenseman that shouldn't be sitting in the stands. That's going to be sitting in the stands, I think, most nights.
And that's why, and I understand that they made the trade. They traded away Kovacevic. I get it. I understand it. They probably looked at him and said, you know what? We think the other players in the organization have a higher ceiling than him. But he's the type of guy, though, that he could sit out every now and then, and it's not going to stunt his development because I don't know if there's that much development left. I think Kovacevic is who he is. So in that respect, it would have been really good to keep a guy like that. But at the same time, you would have lost him anyway. He would not have cleared waivers, and you're better off parting ways with a guy like him who you think he's hit his ceiling over someone else that probably hasn't hit their ceiling. Having said that, I don't know how high the ceiling is for Struble, Jack-Eye, Barron, and Harris. And I think that if you put them on a rotation, I don't know if it'll hurt them that much. It would hurt Lane Hudson a lot more. I don't know if it will hurt them that much. But all's to say, I think there's going to be a lot of talent in Laval in the upcoming season, huh?
Yeah. I think it's going to be the deepest group in, 15, 20 years, maybe longer. The year they went to the Calder Cup, they won they weren't even that talented. There wasn't that many great pros. Carey Price kind of stood on his head, and he was
big time.
The main reason, really, So you could go back to like the 80s, 90s for them having this kind of depth in the system beyond the Canadians.
Start reserving the hotel, Grant. I have a feeling that you're going to make a couple of trips to Laval this season. You and I are going to watch the Rocket and talk about it right after the game. And you know what? Season ticket holders, I think, are going to be in for a treat because what you're going to be watching, the future of the Montreal Canadiens. There are several players that will play on that team that will be Montreal Canadiens players for a very long time and will go on to have pretty good careers. At least that's what we think. Grant, thanks for doing this, man, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Tony.
Cheers, my man. There you have it. Special thanks, of course, to Energy Transportation Group, to Bittt, to Tibi, to Playground, and to Betway, all of our partners. And special thanks to all of you for watching. If you like it, comment SICK, S-I-C-K, share it with your friends. Tell everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. Leave a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love for Shane Gaumont. I'm Master Control. I'm Marinaro in Laval. Ça sent la coupe? Maybe not, but can always dream.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.